Hi, it's Anna Wolfe of Hospitality Technology. I'm here live at MURTEC, and I have here with me Brenda Parker, partner with Results Through Strategy. And Brenda is one of our Lifetime Achievement Top Women in Restaurant Technology Award winners for this year. Brenda, so thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, and congratulations on being recognized as a top woman in restaurant technology.
Thank you.
Well, I wanted to take the time to speak with you and ask you a wide range of questions about what you've seen in the restaurant technology industry. And I wanted to start by talking to you about your career and what projects you've, as a restaurant technologist, have you found to have the most personal satisfaction?
I have to say personal satisfaction in two areas. We actually were winners of Project of the Year here at MURTEC. I believe that was 2002. And it was a project where we created now what they call tech stacks, an infrastructure that allowed us within a Krispy Kreme environment to not open multiple warehouses. We were able to put together the software in a way that allowed us to use the individual locations as warehouses. So we had sales in the back and sales in the front, so that everything was made at on site and delivered to the many delivery areas we had to go to. I had a boss who was very much understanding of technology, which is half the battle. Usually you're explaining the what, the why, we need this, we need the money. He understood technology and was behind every decision we made, as long as I could cost justify what I was doing. And as I told you, the second most rewarding project for me was working in a foreign country where you're working with teams that have English as a second language, if at all. And we were able to complete the project and also deliver a platform across several countries and several concepts that was considered award-winning.
Awesome.
When I see where the industry has come from and to, I can remember the days when you could not upgrade anything remotely, so it required road trips to stop.
Everything
For
was
the for the simplest upgrade, you couldn't download. You had dial-up. You could barely do support online. You had pagers. There were no cell phones. Payphones were still a reality. I can remember times when I get a page and you're stopping at a service station in the rain to find a payphone so you can call and find out what the emergency is. So we've come so far in the industry and technology. Back in the day, you had a computer in the back, maybe. You had a POS system. Everything was segregated. You took credit cards over here. You clocked in on a time clock over there. It was data coming from every sources that needed to be massaged and reported on in different ways. Now all of those limitations within technology have been overcome.
So what have you liked about building a career in restaurant technology? Has it been the learning aspect of learning new technologies and staying on the edge of technology innovations? What have you enjoyed most about this area?
That it changes so frequently that it's like a new job every day. I am one of those people who gets easily bored with monotony. And before restaurants, I had been in technology. I'd worked in government systems. I'd worked for Johnson & Johnson in manufacturing systems as a programmer. I came into the industry as a COBOL, assembler language, PO1 programmer. And when I came to Denny's for an interview. They had several open positions. Back then, I was sent by a headhunter who called me and said, let me get you out of where you are. These open positions, we're looking for the right people to fill them. And she says, I have 3 open positions for programmers. On that list was something called point of sale, which I had no idea. It said POS. I had no idea what that was. And the headhunter said, point of sale. Well, what's point of sale? I'm coming from government systems that wasn't a familiar term. And so because I am that person who wants to do new, different, I said, I want to interview for that job. Can you tell me what it what it is and what it entails? And I have been in love with restaurant technology and restaurant systems from the beginning. I never went into an environment where I didn't want to learn everything, so I go to the restaurants. There are companies I've worked for that I would go into a restaurant that they tell me was well run by the best management team. And I'd walk in and say, I want to volunteer to work a shift. You don't have to pay me. I just need to work every shift and to know every position. And I'd have restaurant managers look at me like, have you lost your... So you want to come and work here for free? Absolutely, put me in any spot. So, but what I gained from that was what I think is my greatest accomplishments right now. And that is, I worked in the technology side for so many years where companies spend the time and the money and even bring in consultants to build a tech stack. They determine which products they want. They determine that based on interviews and demos with the wow factor up front instead of the detail factor up front. They look at the top tier without digging into all the pieces that are going to cost and need to change. And then they buy into this thing that they spend time and attention developing and deliver it to an operations team who doesn't need it, can't use it, and doesn't want to be bothered with it. And what I've learned over the years is if you put that back in first, if you learn how these people are going to adapt to this project, how you're going to teach them to use it to their benefit, then it's going to be a much more successful project. And I finally got to a point in my career where I get to pick and choose which projects I take on. And our leader is Fred LaFranc, and he'll tell me all the time, I don't know why you always want to dig into the detail level things. I said, because at the detail level, if you guys have created a tech stack and decided all the products, I am the person who's going to pull all those pieces together and deliver them to a team of people who, number one, are empowered, who are educated, and who know how this is best going to function and work for them.
I think that's a great point. The last few years we've talked a lot, and there's been a big focus on improving the customer experience,
Yes.
Digital innovation, standing up online ordering. But now it seems that operators here are looking for solutions to help improve their employee experience, to help improve operations, to really focus on that, those KPIs in the back of the house. So I've noticed that shift just in the few years I've been here. I was wondering what you've noticed and what technologies you think have the most promise going into the future.
I'm kind of biased on that. I came to this show specifically seeking out all of the AI solutions that are coming up. I've looked at the ChatGPT. I noticed that if you ask the questions a certain way when you're doing the research, determines your answer. If I ask a straight question, how to perform this, what type of product, you might get a generic answer that really tells you nothing. If I ask a question and preface it in the persona of a CIO, what is your answer to this solution? You get a more targeted answer. And the AI solutions keep learning, and they keep learning. And eventually, they're going to be so efficient at providing information and providing next steps that a lot of the things that we do that take time, take attention, will be shortcut by these intelligent solutions that are learning as we go.
That's a lot of promise.
It is. I am a little biased. I was talking to the guys in the session with the metaverse. I'm a little biased about the metaverse and what type of impact coming into the industry. And I say that as an older person who went through the first iterations of that Second Life. I don't know if you remember that as it was a virtual reality space where people more or less lived in virtual reality like the metaverse. It came, it blew up. There were a lot of people involved in entering into spaces and creating groups, and then it kind of flittered off by the wayside. The premise now is that there is such an adoption and engagement in the metaverse, and today I heard for the first time the term Gen Alpha, which I understand now are the 13 and under group coming up, that virtual reality is going to become the thing that drives the future into how people interact with products and people and places. I still need to, I guess, see that come into the level of fruition where virtual meets reality, and it's going to be beneficial. We have our first restaurant group per se that was built totally around an NFT concept. Kevin Saw and his folks are here. I followed it. I see the sales are popping. I see the interest. I'm still not on board that it's going to be adopted quickly, but I don't think it's going away. So I am following closely with apprehension on that whole segment.
Noted. So what do you see as the most underrated tool or technology in the restaurant space?
Underrated. I don't know that I'd call it underrated, but
maybe underutilized.
I'm looking at all the methods of payment. In fact, I asked the RTS team last Friday in our meeting how many of them had seen restaurants that no longer accept cash. I actually saw a couple of restaurants in Houston just recently where they've posted signs that they don't accept cash anymore. And I understand I didn't realize legally you could do that, and I'm noticing now it is a thing.
It's definitely a thing in my area, in the Northeast, so definitely.
And so I know that there are a lot of payment applications and pay by phone and pay internet pay, that I don't know how many of them are being utilized efficiently. I don't know where that is going to go ultimately, but if we're going to eliminate cash, then these services are going to become extremely prominent in what selections a restaurant makes for how they're going to accept payments.
Can you tell us what you're working on now?
I'm working on a project with Carl's Jr. They are updating their infrastructure in the restaurant and all of their surrounding technologies, their networking. So I'm project managing the the whole project for one of the approved third-party companies, where we're going in completely recabling with Cat 6, putting in all new switches and firewalls on one visit, and coming in the next night and replacing all of the old hardware and equipment. You know, we're even upgrading some of the back office computers to Windows 11, which is extremely new, and you know, we're getting in front of it now so that the next iteration of upgrades, we're already ahead of the game.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. And again, congratulations on receiving the Top Women in Restaurant Technology Lifetime Achievement. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and I hope we stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.